Alright, mates, welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody's doing well. We are back home, back from a great trip, Shenandoah River. Man, we have hit the Susquehanna, we've hit the Upper Potomac, and we've hit the Shenandoah River here in the last few weeks. It has been an awesome, awesome stretch. I'll do a summary for Shenandoah on the Facebook page coming up probably this evening. So much happened while I was gone. Just trying to probably catch up on it all, but we've got the KBF thing going down with Ambassador Series. That's pretty promising. I'm going to do a video on that. Break that all down because there are a lot of local clubs that are interested in that. And kind of see where that's going to shake out and everything. But, man, then to find out, man, really, really sad what's going down with the KFL, Kayak Fishing League, man. That league, such promise for that league. And they just, man, it just saddens me, man, to see, like, people that are generally good people, but in a competitive environment, just break down. Like, there's something wrong there. You've got to reach out to people involved in situations like that, because there's something really bad. People are not in a good place when they handle things the way they handle things. At the end of the day, it's just fishing. And this is why so many people, myself included, that have been like really weary of like tournament angling. Because, man, it can take you off an emotional cliff sometimes, and I think that's what we're seeing in the KFL especially. I don't think there's enough support mechanisms in place. I don't think there's enough player association type things for players to voice their grievance or voice their opinions on things in that league. It's just an absolute shame to see such talent get caught up in the emotion of it all. But I mean, I guess, it's like a buddy of mine said to me, on the river, like, professionalism rises to the top. There's a reason. There's a reason why people don't make it in bass fishing, like, competitively. And, for me, man, I just fish for the joy of fishing. I just love being on the river, and I'll enter local tournaments and all that stuff. You win, you lose, you don't win. It's all about your experience on the water. But there are people who have just gotten twisted with this thing, and it's like all they have, and that's a shame. Like, if you somehow are throwing down with your personal worth is tied to how many fish you catch, I'm sorry, but it's not going to turn out well for you, And I already know a lot of people in this sport, in bass fishing, whether it be the boater world or kayak or whatever, that have gotten divorced, okay? That have lost their kids, right? That have gotten financially ruined, in debt, in bankruptcy, and all of that stuff. Because at the end of the day, they overvalued something that should never be valued more than your personal relationships with your family, your wife, your kids, your friends, your employer, whatever. And that's what you're seeing, man. It's a case study in no support, no management, no direction, no real rules, that are supposed to be followed, letter of the law. It's like some rules apply to some people, some rules don't apply to others. That's what you're happening. In the case of what happened this last weekend, what really should have just been a simple rules violation resulting in a DQ. But it didn't turn out that way. And the league seems unwilling to address why it didn't turn out that way, as they point the finger at everybody else. They did this before in Texas with the Lone Star Bandits. Instead of looking at yourself, like, what kind of culture and environment are you creating when you allow people and accept and encourage people to trash talk? Ultimately, there's a place for that. But ultimately, it can lead to an elevated type of trash talk. It's not appropriate, okay? Rivalries are rivalries, and those are great. But, man, when you make things personal to people and you defame people, calling into question someone's integrity. You can have outstanding integrity. You can be an outstanding moral person and make a mistake, okay? The guy didn't wear his PFD. That's a rules violation resulting in a disqualification. No one's going to argue that. No one sensible is going to argue that. But what happened after that, there's really no call for it. The individual who identified the person not wearing their PFD didn't have to do what he did. He could have taken the picture or the video and then gone about his day of fishing, and then at 1 p.m. when the match was up, reported the violation, and then none of the so-called altercation, verbal or otherwise. I don't know if some guy extended the middle finger or whatever. You heard all kinds of stories, or some story about somebody throwing lures with treble hooks at a guy, and who knows, man, right? None of that happens if you're a professional. If you're a professional, and that's in who you are, you take the video, you go about your fishing day. You don't interact with the other team. You don't interact with the other angler. You communicate with your team. You communicate with, and you focus on your fishing. And then at the end of the day, you make the determination whether or not you give the individual. Here, this is my argument, and I know people freaking have shot it down. Ooh, well, that's not going to happen. I can tell you what happened to me. I can tell you what has happened to me. You get out on the water, you start fishing, you don't have your PFD on. Most people with integrity will report themselves. Okay? Most people with integrity. If you would not report yourself as fishing in a tournament with no PFD on, mistake or not, then you don't have integrity. Okay? You don't. You're a cheater. Okay? And you know who you are, and you know whether or not that's in you or not. Okay? That's not in me. Okay? So if that circumstance happened to me and I was fishing and ultimately I realized, oh man, I just scored a bunch of fish in Fishing Chaos or Tourney X, I don't have my PFD on, I gotta report myself. If you're not willing to do that, you're a cheater, okay? But you give the person the opportunity to recognize their mistake, and maybe this individual would have reported himself, okay? And if he didn't, then you then provide the video to the tournament director at 1 o'clock when the event is over. The tournament director or the judges, however it is in your organization, reviews it, makes a determination. All the guys fish for the day are DQ'd. This is the reason why. Then there's no confrontation on the water. There's no lure throwing. There's no video. There's no whatever. But that's not what happened. What happened was, apparently, is an individual decided to take things to a whole nother level. Which he made himself and that individual bigger than the game. Bigger than the league. Okay? That's called selfishness, where I come from. Okay? So he made a video of the guy apparently cutting him off, but it doesn't really seem that way to me. I mean, I've looked at it, I've tried to be objective. My point is, why during a live stream event, during a live match that you have that's sanctioned by the KFL, when you're representing the KFL, when you're representing the Southern Slayers, your team, would you post a video on your personal page that defames another angler in an organization that you play in? Why would you do that? I don't understand where that comes from. You already had the individual DQ'd by the league. You should have been focusing on your fishing, but you weren't. You were focused on him. Like, there's something wrong there on some level. And that guy's friends need to address it. His teammates need to address it. I mean, they could beat themselves up on the chest. They won the game, but I think they would have won anyway. I don't think the individual who got DQ'd's fish were DQ'd. I think he had 62 inches, according to Fishing Chaos. So they didn't disqualify the guy's fish. They just disqualified him from fishing any further along in the day. Okay? So I don't know if that's right or wrong. But I don't know what the rules are, in terms of that. But, come on, man. The video that was posted on this personal page that's gone viral that everybody's talking about is like 15 seconds or less. Might as well be a TikTok or a YouTube short. Doesn't show anything. It shows a guy going in front of another guy's kayak, standing up, looking towards the ramp, fishing towards the ramp, who had already been DQ'd. Okay, I would probably have done the same. I would have probably fished my way to the ramp after being DQ'd too. I mean, I just spent all my gas and all my fee. I think that's a fee-paid pond. I think you have to pay to fish in that park in Florida, I think. So I would have fished my way to the ramp. But the angler who got DQ'd didn't interact in that video with the guy on the other guy at all. He was heading straight. He kept his kayak straight. So, but the insinuation was that he intentionally cut the other angler off. Well, the other angler didn't see a guy coming from his 3 o'clock, right? Or what? 9 o'clock, I guess, if you reverse his 9 o'clock for 50 yards and he didn't change his direction? Like, it's almost as if he wanted the confrontation. It's almost as if he was trolling the guy after getting him DQ'd. Being the only person there, from what I'm learning, he had to have known that the individual had to have known that it was him who called in the DQ, right? Why would you go anywhere near the guy? If you didn't want to troll him, if you weren't trying to insinuate, or instigate, if you weren't trying to be, I'm just saying, a lot of people, I'm just saying this out there. Again, I don't know the individual who put the video out on his personal page, but where I come from, most people around these parts would say that's a dick move. Like, I'm just saying. You defamed a guy, you insinuated the guy was a, whatever. But inevitably you made it about you and him, and you didn't make it about your team, and you didn't make it about the league, and the league certainly didn't make it about a league because, that video was still up as of, this morning, so it's already out there. It's already gone viral. There's nothing you can do. That guy's got to answer to Feel Free, I think is his sponsor, his team's sponsor. The whole friggin' Copperhead team now is kind of like dissolved into really nothing as a result of what? A stupid video that never should have been published on the internet, public. KFL, if KFL sanctioned that, they're a bunch of asshats. Like, because that just ruins no one trusts the league. Credibility's now come into play. How the league is run. All of that stuff. You now have 2 lakes, one in Texas, Fairfield, one in Florida, Tenoroc, now off the KFL schedule. Like 2 of the best fisheries in 2 of the best bass fishing states in the country. It makes no sense, man. Like, and to hear that, it just puts a sour, taste in everyone, about how, a league with promise, and you've got individuals that are just, reality check, man. Maybe the league again, I don't have any association with the league. Don't have any say. They obviously don't care what I think. Probably shouldn't, But, man, somebody needs to screen the people they're allowing in this league. There are some people that seriously need some help and some therapy. I don't know where that level of anger comes from. I don't know where that level of vindictiveness comes from. I don't know where that level is, where it would be in a competition. If the competition is the thing, and that is, why would you do something to defame the actual competition that you're in? And to make it look juvenile, immature, unprofessional, because that's what's happened now on more than one occasion. It's live stream is for the KFL and Motion Sports Network to live stream the event, right? Now you have people doing their own thing on the side during a KFL event, right? That's not promoting the KFL, not promoting the sponsors of the KFL in a good way, and then incites other teams to leave the KFL, over it, as a backlash, right? It just makes you wonder sometimes where people's heads at. So please, mates, if you're watching this channel, understand. It doesn't matter if you're a competitive angler. It doesn't matter if you're out on the water recreationally. You get cut off or something happens. Just take a deep breath. Understand that that whatever happens is going to take away from the joy that you're having on the water. Okay, there are a lot of people out there that are angry. Okay, and it's all in here. Okay, and you don't know anything about it until something happens that triggers an explosion of it out, and you're there. And you don't want to be that. You don't want to be there. You don't want to be in the vicinity of anyone having that kind of thing happen on the water. Okay? And so, hey man, the professional thing to do is go about your business. The business of competing. Okay? And don't get wrapped up in someone else's drama. Okay? And that's why I said from the get-go when I heard about this, and I talked to some people on the phone, read a bunch of messages, followed up with people, that, man, why don't you just walk away? You called in the tournament director. He got DQ'd. Why did you go anywhere near the guy? Why would you go towards the ramp together? What was that about? someone needs to explain to me, like what that is all about. Because to me, that's putting yourself in the line of fire of someone who's angry at themselves, upset at themselves, disappointed in themselves. They let their team down. They're probably going to lose. He's thinking all 62 of his points are coming off the board. And you want to put yourself in that guy's line of sight. Why? What good is that going to do? Other than you, personally, get you some views on Facebook, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what it does. I just know that if it had been me, if I got DQ'd, I would have wrapped my shit up and gone. I would have probably fished my way to the ramp, but I'd have been like, man, let me just get off the water, whatever. Or maybe I would have fished out the rest of the day if nobody was around. I don't know. I really don't know what the answer to that question is. But I certainly know if it was roles were reversed, I never would have come anywhere near the person who got DQ'd until they had a time to just process. Okay? And I certainly wouldn't have brought my kayak or my boat anywhere, even remotely in the vicinity with that individual, which is what it looks like on the video was done. So I don't know how you guys feel about it. I don't know how you would have interacted with that on the water. I just think that it was like I would have waited till the end of the day, provided the video to the judges, or actually disputed all of his fish with the picture. Any number of those things is probably the way you go about it. If you're out in your own local league, same thing. Use this as a lesson, because this can happen in your local series with people that, when, if you got to have to, on that unfortunate circumstance, you got to call in a rules violation. Maybe somebody launched from an inappropriate or illegal site or a private ramp, whatever it is. You don't need to be in the vicinity of those individuals. You really don't, especially if they know you're the guy, right? If you're the only one there, because it leads to this. It leads to more and more and more unnecessary stuff that's going to make you look bad. So what started out as a guy getting DQ'd for no PFD, he made a mistake. Instead of it being about him, this other angler on the Southern Slayers made it about him. All of a sudden, and it all got twisted, and then there's a confrontation, and then there's a team releasing an individual, and then there's individuals on that team quitting and then being released, and then there's now the team's not going to be in the KFL, just like the Bandits last year. So two of the best teams with the best anglers in the entire league are no longer in the league. All as a direct result of stupidity, okay, and selfishness. So I may have gotten it wrong, but that's just my take. Hope everybody's great. Again, check out the video on Shenandoah I'll do, and KBF series coming up tonight. Hope everybody's been great. Back in, reach out to me if you've got any questions about the river or any of that stuff. Hope everybody's having a good day.